Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday, the 17th day of April 2025. I hope you're safe and healthy today. Hope your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are trying their best to save lives, and those that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children victims of child molestation and pedophilia. People that are also victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography and child pornography, human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that drive the demands that make these industries exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and military veterans homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So the New York Knicks going to be tipping off Saturday night against the Detroit Pistons at MSG. We're going through this week the key players that affect winning for the Knicks. And that's the key. It's not their stats. It's their effect on winning. And again, I want to stress to all of you out here in Knicks Nation, when you're looking at players, when you're suggesting trades, if you do not take the time to check about that a player's effect on winning, I don't want to hear your trade rumors. I don't want to hear none of this crap. And by the way, I was having an interesting conversation with one of my subscribers yesterday, and he was saying, we were talking about Ian Begley, and I said Ian Begley's become a troll, and he said I was being hard. And the thing is, what I described to him is what I'm about to tell you now. What we must understand, and many don't, is that all media lies to you. Corporate media on any level. It's not, it used to be a long time ago, and I mean probably when I was a child, back maybe 60s, maybe 70s, even then, but at least back then it was about facts as far as possible. It was about facts. Now it's about clicks. So it's based on the interest of the person that's seeing it and what they want to hear. It's not based on what it is. It's based on what people want to hear. What creates conversation? Does a talk about trading on the Knicks create conversation? Yes. Does talk about firing Tibbs create conversation? Yes. Whatever creates drama and conversation is what is being reported. It has nothing or very little to do with anything concerning facts. Okay, it used to be journalism was about reporting what was a factoid. It's not anymore. Therefore, I myself do not trust any journalist at all, especially when it comes to the Knicks, especially when it comes to sports, because sports is entertainment. Part of entertainment is generating conversation. You generate conversation so you get more clicks. You get more clicks, you make more money. Simple as that. Okay, so with respect to the Knicks, you're going to hear a lot of bull crap to generate clicks. And the thing is that it's usually from the same group of people, and it's seasonal. There's a set of narratives that come out during the trade season. There's a set of narratives that come out in the beginning of a season. There's a set of narratives that come out at the draft. There's a set of narratives that come out at free agency. And these are the same narratives by pretty much the same people. And nobody really picks it up because everybody's in the moment. Okay? So with respect to Ian Begley, he used to just report facts. He never would speculate about what he thought. It was always about what the facts were. Lately, he's been inviting a lot of people on his putback that are knuckleheads, that are loving to put out clickbait, and he's been kind of falling into that. Ian Begley won my respect because he never speculated about the Knicks. He always just reported what he knew. Okay. And so you can take when he said something to the bank because he was not reporting something he was speculating about. Same with Shams. Shams reports something that's actually getting ready to happen, like Wojnarowski used to do, because they were on the inside and they knew. And how did, over time, over the multitude of years that they reported stuff that has come to pass, you learn you could trust them, because if he said this guy's getting ready to get traded, 9 times out of 10, that guy gets traded. Okay, because that is a factoid. So yesterday we were having a discussion, and I said, Ian's got to win my trust again by reporting just facts and stop speculating. Period. Okay, so that we had that conversation. Now, with respect to the Knicks, people always want to bring the Knicks name in. And the reason is because the Knicks got a lot of money. They're worth a lot of money. And traditionally, like over the last 30 years, the Knicks have been always willing to pay top dollar for talent, even if they misplaced their trust in what said talent it was, even if they overestimated the value of said talent. They overpay. They used to do that. They don't do that anymore, but people still think that. That's why they still report like that. Right now, the Knicks are a stable organization, one of the most stable organizations in the NBA. They have a very solid front office. Front office keeps things close to the vest. They don't let the media know what they're getting ready to do. Thibodeau doesn't let the media know. This week, what I noticed about Thibodeau is he's not revealing his plans. He just hints at stuff, but he's not really revealing anything. So you can't draw any conclusions by what he's saying now. With respect to Thibodeau, if you want to know, for example, what his rotation is going to be, a lot of people are speculating about him, including myself, we're talking about possibility of starting Mitchell Robinson. Well, it ain't going to happen. Because at this close to the playoffs, he does not, and especially if you watched him at all in the last 5 seasons, and that's another thing. People act like this is the first time they see Thibodeau. In the last 5 seasons, when it comes time to playoffs, he does not change his lineup. He likes to stick with the guys, with the minutes he's played them all year. So, no, Richard Robinson is not starting for Josh Hart. There's going to be the same starting 5. You're going to have Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench, and you're going to see a lot of minutes with him and McBride, because that's what you've seen all year. McBride is playing the most minutes of anybody off the bench. So McBride is going to obviously be in the rotation for the playoffs. And then, of course, Mitchell Robinson being one of Tom Thibodeau's favorite because of how he protects the rim, right, and causes people to hesitate and gets offensive rebounds. And Tibbs has not made that, like, that's not a mystery. We know he's going to be in the rotation. The only question mark is whether the 8th guy. And I think it's going to be Shamet because he plays tight defense, but his shooting has come along. So if you play defense, you get Tibbs' attention first, period. Okay, that's why I kind of knew Kolek wasn't going to play a whole lot unless everybody was hurt, which is when he did play, because he don't play no defense. Hopefully, he learns how to. Tibbs wouldn't have pushed for him if he didn't know how to, but if he didn't think he could learn how to, and I believe he could also. So he's just got to get stronger, blah, blah, blah. But Shamet plays defense, and Shamet has shown to be able to shoot the ball very well on the pro level before he came to the Knicks. He was off this year because of his shoulder, but at the end of the season, we all saw he started getting his stroke back. I think that 8th guy is going to be Shamet. That makes Payne and Precious situational in that order. So Payne will get minutes if Brunson, Deuce is hurt or tired or whatever, foul trouble. He'll get minutes then as a backup point guard. But it's going to be Brunson and Deuce. Deuce is going to play both positions. He's been doing that all season, playing both positions. By the way, some of the best lineups the Knicks have are when Brunson and Deuce are together. Okay? Matter of fact, the starting 5, if you take out Mikal and you put in Deuce, they like plus 27. So you're going to see that. Okay? So, again, this is based on what he's already done. If I'm looking at Basketball Reference and I can see these things, you better believe they're going, well, Tibbs sees them, okay, and he knows what's going on. So that's what you can expect to see. So in other words, you don't need to speculate. You can look at what he's already done, and you can go by that, because that's what he does. He doesn't change his starting 5 come playoff time. So Mitchell Robinson's not going to start unless Towns is hurt, God forbid. But if everybody's healthy, Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench with Deuce and probably Shamet. Today, though, what I want to talk about are the 2 most important players in this playoff series. That is the Wingstop, OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. I always look at the stats, and I like Basketball Reference because you could break it down by wins, losses, combinations of lineups, and you could see who is effective and who hasn't been. there's some astounding stat. The biggest stat I caught with both of these gentlemen, Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. Anunoby. When Anunoby is when he's at least +4, plus minus, again, that means the team was better than the opponent by 4 points or more when that player is on the floor. That's what plus minus means. Or the team is worse by whatever points when that player is on the floor. So when Anunoby is at least +4, in other words, when the New York Knicks are outscoring their opponents by 4 points or more when he's on the floor, which happened 34 times this season, the Knicks are 34-0. When Mikal Bridges is +5 or better, which happened 35 times in the season, the Knicks are 35-0. What does that tell you? It's very important that both of these guys are plus. In other words, that the team is doing better than their opponent when they're on the floor, which is a function of how good they're playing versus the opponent, okay? Somebody else, and I want to give him credit. Oh God, somebody said something very interesting. And again, I don't like speculation because it's just guessing and you don't know. But what I do like is something that makes sense. What this gentleman said, and I got to find him to give him the proper credit. He said, because I mentioned the other day that when I did the Deuce segment, I mentioned that they left Deuce on Cade, and Cade was bullying Deuce, and Cade was bigger than Deuce, and Deuce was not getting any help from the weak side when Cade was backing him down into the lane, and that they should have got somebody to come over from the weak side to cause the ball to come out of Cade Cunningham's hand. And somebody said to me, and I'm looking for his name right now, but he said, I think Tibbs did that on purpose because he didn't want to tip his hand as to how he's going to play them in the playoffs. And I was like, you know what? I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that because I am about 95% sure. In fact, I'm going to say I'm 100% sure that you're going to see OG and or Mikal guard Cade 100% of the time. Like when Cade's in the game, one or both of those guys will be in the game. And one or both of them will be taking turns guarding him. Okay? It's not going to be Deuce McBride guarding him. They put Deuce on him understanding he probably understood already it was a mismatch. But he wanted to see what they would do. And this is the thing. I watched Orlando play Atlanta the other day. And what Atlanta did against Orlando is they tried to take Paolo Banchero out the game. And in the first half, they did. But what Paolo did is he became a playmaker, an excellent playmaker at 6'10", 240 pounds. And Orlando, with the supporting cast, ran away from Atlanta. They were trying to take Paolo out the game, but you had a nice supporting cast. Cole Anthony went off. You had Anthony Black played very well. You had a bunch of guys, and of course Franz Wagner. You had a bunch of guys that stepped up and played well when Paolo just became the playmaker. And I can see this happening against Detroit. So in other words, the Knicks are going to put grown-ass man or Mikal on Cade. He's going to be taking out the game. Who is it? Kenny Kiriakou, 8936. Kenny Kiriakou said, Tibbs purposely didn't double or put OG on Cade so he won't show his hand playoff time. Kenny, that was very astute. I have to give you credit. Kenny Kiriakou, I forgot, I can't say your last name, but that was very astute. And I think that's true. Tibbs would do something like that. Okay. And so now he's going to have OG and or Mikal guarding him. And you got two options. You can have one of those guys guard him, and like let's say it's OG. And while OG is on him, you take him out the game in terms of his effectiveness offensively. You turn him into a pure playmaker. Okay. Then your other guys have got to step up and play defense. Then you got to have your other four dudes guard their man, right? You got, and so that's a strategy. And then secondly, if you can have, when you have Deuce on the floor or Shamit, you could have OG or Mikal still guard Cade, double him and get the ball out of his hands and let somebody else try to beat you. Now, when it comes to that, Detroit has a couple of options, okay? So Detroit, the second option in such a scenario would be Malik Beasley. And if he gets hot, he can knock down 7, 8 threes on you in the game. So you got to have somebody like Deuce on him that's going to be able to double and get back. Very important. Or Mikal, double and get back. Okay, and so you get the ball out of Cade's hand, and you got to guard Malik. Then they have as a tertiary option is Tim Hardaway Jr. We had him on the Knicks. He actually played number one option on the Knicks when Kristaps Porzingis was out, and so you have him who's capable, a very capable scorer, and he could win a game for you. Again, he's a streaky shooter. He could win a game for you. So you have him out there. So you got to really, you got to have somebody guarding him. And I can see Josh Hart guarding him, or Deuce. Now, Josh Hart, you're going to want Josh Hart. Somebody got to guard Tobias Harris. Now, Tobias Harris is a very, very solid pro. He is a pro's pro. That's a professional NBA player right there when you're watching in all aspects of the game. Fundamentally sound in every aspect. 6'8", knows how to use his height, can shoot the ball solidly, rebound the ball, defense. He's solid. He's not a superstar in any aspect, but he's totally solid in every aspect of the game. So you don't want him necessarily going off, but he's not that dude. So you could stand him scoring 28. All right, if you have to, if you can lock down Cade. So that, I can see Josh Hart guarding him most of the time. He's 6'8", so Josh Hart's going to have a disadvantage, and he'll try to post up Josh Hart. But we don't mind if Detroit uses possessions to try to get attack Josh Hart, because we could deal with that. We just don't want Cade or Malik or again, Tim Hardaway Jr. to get hot and start feeling their oats. We got to guard them, okay? So I can see that happening. Now, same was OG, same as Mikal. Like I said, when Mikal is +5 or more, the Knicks are 36-0. When OG is +4 or better, the Knicks are 34-0. So it's good to get these guys off. Very good, okay? And so when I say get off, you want them to win their matchup. Okay. Also, the Knicks have they're like 35-11 when Mikal Bridges shoots 50% or more from the floor. And we know Mikal loves the mid-range. When he shoots at least 50% from the floor, again, for the season, he is probably shooting close to that. He's not quite 50, he's like high 40s. But when he shoots 50% or better from the floor, they're 35-11. Okay, so you want him scoring, and you want him winning his matchup. Mikal's probably the biggest wild card of the whole team, because he's going to play a lot of minutes, but he's not a superstar, but he's that winning piece. Again, if he's shooting that mid-range and he comes up and he's pulling and he's making his mid-range shot, that's key for us. That's for the opponent, in this case Detroit. They got to put somebody on him to stop him from scoring in that mid-range. They got to try to stop him. Like the Knicks are 18-6 when Mikal hits at least 3 3-pointers in a game. He's not a big-time 3-point shooter. Okay, he's not, but he's a good 3-point shooter. I say he's a solid 40% from 3. So if you can get him hitting threes, that's really good. So Mikal is probably offensively the biggest wild card on the team. He probably is, as far as a wild card. He's probably the biggest one, because if you get him shooting well from the 3-point line, you got a good shot of winning the game. If you get Mikal Bridges shooting, so he's a 35% shooter this year from 3, which is what makes that a wild card. If he shoots 50% or better from the floor, okay, in a game, then you're going to probably win that game. Okay, he's 35. You're 35-11 when he does that. And if he's winning the individual battle with his opponent, if he's +5 or better, you don't lose. Same with OG. If he's +4 or better, you don't lose. Okay, so you want these guys to go off. You want them to win their matchup, and against Detroit, I think that's a high probability. I'm not, you put OG on Cade. Cade is now, Cade is a burgeoning superstar. He's on that path right now. But if there's anybody that could guard him, it's our grown ass man energy and OG Anunoby. I mean, right? I mean, if anybody that could guard, if anybody has a chance at guarding him, it's OG Anunoby. So I think we want that. Mikal could. So right now, I guess it's because of the end of the season, but Mikal's at 50% from the field. So he's starting to come in the shit, and you want that in the 7-game playoff series. Okay, so if he is shooting 50% in a game or more from the floor, you're 35-0. All right, so that is the keys here. So they gotta be able to guard Cade, which I'm very confident between the two of these cats, they can get that done. They gotta also win their matchup. That's a function of not only them being able to play high-level defense, but score efficiently. Okay, this is the key here. Mikal Bridges is a wild card in both those sides. We've seen him play high-level defense, and we've seen him get done. We've seen him score, and we've seen him hit, nothing. So he's really the wild card. OG is more solid this year, okay? And OG he's pulled out some moves that he never used on a regular basis in Toronto before. And he's been pulling them out of his bag and using them on a regular basis this year. And it's been amazing to see. So OG is probably that guy. And now you got a week's rest. This is big now. See, all y'all complaining, you minutes police, was whining about playing too many minutes and they won't be ready for the playoffs. Can you please put that to rest for good now? Some of you, at least remember that and stop going with the same narrative every year for Tom Thibodeau. Because now OG and Mikal are ready to play 40-plus minutes a game. They're going to get at least a day or 2 days or sometimes 3 days rest before a game in the playoffs. They're both healthy. So Tibbs has trained them to be ready to grind in this time of year. And that's what they're going to do. So let's get this on. I like our chances. These two cats are the key. Now, we know we need Brunson. I ain't got to tell y'all that. We know we do need Cat to come through. At least not be negative. We know that, okay? But these two cats right here, the Wingstop, this is the key to the series. If these two cats do what we know they could do, I think we're in good shape. And especially, they're really good when they're paired with Mitchell Robinson. They're really good when they're paired with Mitchell Robinson. So if you get these two cats on the floor with Mitch Rob, they good, man. I was looking at Mitch Rob's numbers. Y'all remember, I was talking about blockness yesterday as a key piece. Let's pull up Mitch Rob and let's pull up him with them two cats. It's a small sample size, obviously, because Mitch Rob's only played 17 games. But it's Bridges, Robinson, and Anunoby +5. And they played the most minutes together of any combination, 154 minutes. You have +5 with them. And if you take Bridges and Anunoby and you put McBride with them, okay, listen, Robinson, McBride, Bridges, and Anunoby, +23. It's only 47 minutes, but +23. See? So, yeah. Robinson's going to be a key. But when if you want the success of Wingstop, you want more Robinson and more McBride. Yeah, for sure. Okay. As a matter of fact, the five-man lineups with Mikal, because Mikal and OG start, right? Especially Mikal. I like to use Mikal because he don't miss a game. So you can look at the 5-man combination with Mikal. So the 5-man combination that played the most would be, of course, the starting 5. Towns, Hart, Brunson, Bridges, and Anunoby, 940 minutes +3, right? You take the same starting 5 and you put Deuce in for Brunson, +3. You want to know what the best 5-man combination is? Of course, you're going to know. It's really it's Payne, Towns, McBride, Hart, and Bridges plus 26, and then you get then after that you get Towns, Payne, Hart, Bridges, and Anunoby plus 15, and yeah, so and pretty much any lineup with McBride in it is good, man. So this is gonna be keys. Mitch Rob, McBride, and Wingstop, very key here. Okay, very key. And I'm very confident in these guys doing their job. So we in good shape. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about what I expect as far as how the series will go, who will win, and by what. But today, I'm telling you, the Wingstop is the most key. And of the Wingstop, Mikal Bridges is the most important wild card we got. You'll enjoy your Thursday. So